Chapter 12 is all about digital content creation, and it looks at how journalism has changed over the years, especially as most of us access our news today through digital measures, usually online. In this chapter, one of my favorite things is really the features on professional journalists. We try to make sure that your students have access to some of the best journalists in the field, many of whom who have been student journalists when they were in high school. So the three features that you'll find in this chapter all happen to be with working journalists who are currently in different positions at the Washington Post. The first profile that you'll find on page 275 is a Q&A with Danlamothe, who is a national security writer for the Checkpoints blog at the Washington Post. Dan was an editor of his high school publication, and he is really an expert security writer. He's even done some war coverage. He did 3 tours embedded with troops in Afghanistan. So he gives an idea of what it's like to be covering that kind of frontline experience. The second profile you'll see is with a woman named Darla who is an interactive graphics editor at the Washington Post. She actually started out again in high school journalism and worked on graphics and mapping at some newspapers around the United States. And she shares some of her tips and her tricks for finding sources and finding great stories. The final profile that you'll see in this chapter is with a woman named Doris Truong, and she also works for the Washington Post. She's a homepage editor, and she gives some ideas for students on what it's like working in the field and advice for students who are interested in pursuing a career in journalism. So I definitely encourage your students to check out these profiles and even reach out to some professional journalists in their area, maybe your local newspaper, who can give them an idea of what it's like to work in digital journalism today. So that's Chapter 12, Digital Content Creation.